Throughout this video, you will be learning about constructive forces. The standard is, I will be able to identify surface features of the earth caused by constructive forces. Constructive forces are forces that build up the land. Examples include deposition, volcanoes, and earthquakes. Deposition is the dropping of sediment or particles by water, wind, or ice. Sediment is picked up in one place, carried along, and dropped someplace else. Water is the main agent of deposition. The first example of a deposition is a delta. Deltas are deposits that build up at a river's mouth. In these pictures, you will notice rivers flowing into larger bodies of water. The delta is where the river meets the larger body of water. The next example of deposition is a floodplain. Floodplains are deposits outside riverbanks left after flooding. These pictures include rivers that are low-lying areas. They flood often, and deposits are left after the flooding. The next example are barrier islands, which are deposits that form along the coast by waves. In these pictures, waves have pushed sand along, and they have created islands all along the coast. For example, we have barrier islands in Georgia. The next example of deposition is a beach, which is a deposit of sediment left on shore by waves and currents. The next example is a sand dune, which is a deposit of sand piled up by wind. You may have seen sand dunes on the beaches you have visited. The next example is a moraine, which is a ridge of sediment or rock left when glaciers melt. The person in this picture is standing on the moraine, which was left after the glacier. The arrows are pointing to the moraines in this picture. The next example of deposition is a drumlin, which is a long, oval-shaped mound of soil and rock formed from glacial deposits. In this picture, the mound in the middle is the drumlin. This one looks like a hill with trees now growing on it. The next example of a constructive force is a volcano. A volcano can build new land from lava that is hot, melted rock which pours from the volcano. When it cools, it becomes rock, which makes it a constructive process. Notice the lava coming from the volcano. Once it cools, it will form new land, like in this picture here. Earthquakes are the third example of constructive forces. Earthquakes occur when rock moves underground at a fault. The movement pushes up land on one side of the fault line. Notice the land is pushed up in a part of the picture. This makes it a constructive force. This concludes the constructive forces video. I hope you enjoyed the pictures and explanations.